newstalk1330.com. My name is Colin Worthington. Boy, I'm going to get used to these mics eventually, the color coding that we have here. Again, my name is Colin Worthington. Good morning. 8:30. This is the WLBB Community Voice. Thank you for joining us this morning and joining us on the Newstalk 1330 WLBB Facebook page as well as we stream live this morning, as we will with all the candidates for the municipal elections, which are coming up November the 7th. And for 3 weeks prior to that is early voting, so you'll be encouraged to go out there and cast votes early or November the 7th for several municipal races locally. Yesterday we had Stacy Gibbs on the program. She is challenging longtime Ward 3 Carrollton City Councilman Jim Waters in the upcoming municipal election. She is the only challenger for Jim this year. Waters, 12 years, going to wrap up 12 years as a city councilman the end of this year. 4 years ago, he actually had 3 challengers and won that vote decisively. You think you have 4 people in there, you're going to have a runoff election, but he got 60% of the vote. And I believe it was 500 votes he collected, and the others together, maybe 350. Mm-hmm. Jim Waters, good morning.
Good morning, Colin. Good to see you again,
sir. You as well. Thank you for coming out to talk about your campaign. Mm-hmm. Let me start off with this. Is there anything that we don't know about Jim Waters, something that nobody knows about Jim Waters? You've been on this program probably about 6 or 7 times, and make sure it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. But anything that we don't know about Jim Waters, something that would surprise us.
Gosh, it surprises us. Getting older, hopefully, it's probably nothing that would surprise anybody. All this gray hair. I think when I came on 12 years ago, certainly
black, yeah, it was
25 pounds lighter.
And I had a mullet too, so
you had a mullet. No, I mean, nothing really new in my world. Certainly trying to win a 4th election here. I guess that's the news of the day for me. And Stacy's obviously doing the same thing. But no, older and hopefully a little wiser and maybe less controversial. I don't know.
There were some comments on Facebook yesterday between some people who were watching with Stacy. He's been in there for 12 years. Maybe it's time to try some new blood. But then there was also the argument, hey, he's got the experience, so that's beneficial. I can guess how you feel about that, but what's the explanation for going? This would be 16 years if you win this election. 16 years that you would want to serve on council at this point.
It certainly is, and when I ran the first time 12 years ago, I didn't know what I was getting into, and that's why a lot of people step up and run. They want to understand. They want to give back their community. They want to get involved. That's why I did it. And but once you get in there, you start learning, obviously, how things work, and you develop more opinions about what makes for good government, solid, strong government, government that hopefully, in my view, limits itself and lets the people have more personal freedoms. So I've certainly tried to do more of that as I have grown in the position, and hopefully my voter record reflects that. But specifically about why I'm running again, as you mentioned, this would be my 4th term if I wind up winning. We do have a relatively young mayor and council. They were all elected, as you know, Colin, 3.5 years ago. Jacqueline actually just 3 years ago. It was a special election. So I am now the old senior guy that hopefully has something to offer the rest of the council members, and maybe David Brooks as well, who's brand new. So we got a lot of new folks at City Hall.
You talked about getting into politics to not impede on people's personal freedoms on a local level. What actual what opportunities do you have to expand on freedoms or to shut them down?
Absolutely. So if you'll recall, because Colin's been following this stuff for years now, probably 8 years ago or so, maybe more than that, we allowed people to have open containers around the square. And some folks agree with that was a good thing. Some obviously don't. But from a personal freedom standpoint, to be able to carry an alcoholic beverage outside of the restaurant to another restaurant, but you have to dump it out before you go into the other restaurant. But or chug it. There you go. And in the events that we have at the AMP, same rules apply there. You can obviously drink alcohol. You can bring your own cooler I think it's got to be a small cooler. But anyway, we've got an ordinance in place that was at the time, 8 or 9 years ago, was very unique for a town of our size. I believe at that time it was just us and maybe Savannah. That now a lot of cities have the same thing. So that's one example. Another thing, and this may be one of your questions, is golf carts. It's something that's come up recently. I saw a post yesterday on the local community group, and that's another area where the city has really kind of backed off as far as ordinances and rules. We've just been following the state rules, but a lot of people are screaming someone's going to get hurt, and we hear those concerns, and it may be time. We've just started talking about it in the last, actually I was not at the work session last week, I was out of town. I think you were probably there, but there were discussions started about putting in a golf cart ordinance in Carrollton and maybe permitting the things and
making sure they're registered.
Yep, make sure and I don't know what all is involved, but that's another example of, for years we sort of just as a city, I won't say look the other way, but we allowed the people to do what they wanted to do, and it's maybe time to crack down a little bit, put some more. I mean, you still can't ride around. You can't drive it unless you got a driver's license. You're supposed to have seat belts, all that kind of stuff. But it's time for us to take the next step and maybe put some more rules and regulations around golf carts.
Jim Waters is Ward 3 councilman for the city of Carrollton. He is seeking re-election in this year's municipal election, and he's our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. I'll take a break here in about 3 minutes, so if you have any questions or comments that you want to post on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page, go ahead and do that. I don't know if I want to use the word controversial. What item that Carrollton City Council has dealt with over the last 12 years that you think got the most attention? Was it the Bankhead beautification project, or was there something else?
That certainly got a lot of Facebook post.
Did they have Facebook 12 years ago?
Hey, well,
I think
so,
it
probably was, but that project was probably more like 8 years ago. But I mean, people were upset or concerned that the city was, because we did go from 5 lanes to 3, and that it was really going to hurt businesses there. In hindsight, and I was very much on the fence on that. I believe it went up passing 3-2 to proceed with that project, and and I was one of the folks that said yes, but it took some convincing. Because there was a risk there, and then because we had to shut the road down for several weeks. But anyway, in the end, anyone that rides down Bankhead will see the end result turned out to be very good, and about half of that project was paid for with grant money, free money, quote unquote, from the state. So I think it was about a $4 million project. That project today would be $10 or $12 million. So it was just because of inflation
timing,
and everything else. So it was good timing. But that was fairly controversial. And then anything involving housing, which I'm sure is one of your questions, is fairly controversial.
Well, you know all my questions here, Jim.
Well,
I
know you, Colin. You asked the good questions. That's one that's on everybody's mind.
Jim Waters, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Time right now is 8:39. We will take our first break and come back and continue our conversation. Again, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to post those on the Facebook page, and I'll take a look at them during our break. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
The World Language Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined, curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in biliteracy fields of study. The successful completion of this journey provides colleges with a method to recognize a rigorous foreign language immersion experience for all students at Oak Mountain Academy. I'm Patrick Duran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
Time right now is 8:40. This is the WLBB Community Voice on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook this morning. And my name's Colin Worthington. Again, encouraging you guys to go to our Facebook page to post questions or comments. Do have one already. Landon Moss. And Landon, correct me if I am wrong. You're the cat that took the picture of the bear that came through Carrollton about 2 years ago.
Picture.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Probably,
I got the picture from him actually.
Okay.
It's a pretty big deal about 2 years ago. Bear coming to the city. Landon says, only candidate for the job. I've enjoyed Carrollton for the last 12 years and all the improvements that have been made, and I look forward to seeing how it will improve more under Jim's leadership for the next term.
Attaboy, Landon. Thank you, sir.
And all right. Hey, housing is a big deal. I think when we talked to Ms. Gibbs yesterday, she did say housing is a topic that she's hearing a lot when she goes door to door talking to people. What's your view on housing? Is it the same with everybody else on city council and city manager as far as what kind of housing we need and should allow?
I would say city council, we're all somewhat in agreement, but certainly the devil's in the details and exactly what type of housing and where it should go and how large. I'll speak specifically about multifamily apartments, how large they are, how many 4 bedrooms and 3 versus 1 and 2. Those details are what splits us. But we're all, I would say, I only speak for myself, but I would say generally we all are in agreement that we like having more or a good mix of single family versus multifamily homes, which we certainly do in Carrollton. And then the argument is, well, should we have more of one or the other? And that's a really good question. And when we are a college town, so we obviously already have a lot of multifamily on a percentage basis. It's about around 40%, I believe, according to our comprehensive plan, maybe more than that. But we are adding more. We've approved in the last 12 months 3 multifamily apartments. I actually voted for 2 of those 3. There were 2 of the smaller ones, one out Lovern Road and one behind the post office on Cedar Street. And then there was a really big one across the bypass where it was an annexation. I believe we voted on that one
a couple months ago. Yeah, okay, right.
May or June, maybe July. Anyway, that was a big one, 330 units, I believe, with an annexation, pulled it into the city. But not only, it wasn't just a multifamily apartment, it was also some commercial out parcels, I believe they call them. But anyway, I voted against that one, and it wound up passing 3-2. Jacqueline Bridge and I voted against it. But anyway, for the most part, yes, I think we're in agreement. With the city of Carrollton, and this is part of the comprehensive plan that we just finished up. We got a lot of feedback from a lot of people in the community, and most people want the right kind of growth, and I put that in air quotes or whatever that means, but they don't want a whole lot of one or a whole lot of that. They want a nice mix. So it's up to us to figure out what that balance is. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. But we have approved, it's a long answer, I'll wrap it up here. We've approved a lot of single family housing in the last year or two, as well as multifamily. But that single family is has ground to a halt. And I don't know if that's interest rates, but there's a lot of land that's been approved for single family homes and nothing's been done.
Time right now is 8:43. Our guest is Jim Waters, Carrollton City Councilman representing Ward 3, seeking re-election this year. You mentioned UWG, so it makes me think about the important relationships that the city of Carrollton has itself. I'm going to say I'm 97% sure that at some point someone has said to you, or you've seen it on Facebook, they have associated an increase of crime in Carrollton to the college being here. What do you tell them when they say that?
I mean, I would say I don't know what statistics they're referring to. I'm an engineer by degree. I want to know the numbers. That's just these statistics. I've never heard our chief of police say anything like that.
So nobody on Facebook's ever said that to you, or I mean,
no.
I get it all the time. I mean, they talk about this college here, maybe when friends of friends come over to party and associated with them, and they associate things like that. I mean, it's a good and bad kind of thing. I mean, I think the college is important to be here.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a lot of student age folks, 25 and under, whatever, in a community, whether it's us or Athens or Statesboro, you're going to have your share of incidents, crime, whatever, alcohol involved. But no, I mean, we like that West Georgia, University of West Georgia, is here, and we support University of West Georgia. I mean, the city of Carrollton does not get to dictate to them how big they can get, or we had nothing to do with this Division I move. I assume that's going to be a good thing. That's certainly going to bring in more money to the university. At least that's what I hear. Scholarship money and that kind of stuff, athletics. So I assume that's going to be a good thing for Carrollton. It probably will bring in more students. I assume that's a good thing as well. I mean, we have the student population at the University of West Georgia has declined in the last few years, COVID
and
related,
everywhere,
and everywhere else probably. So, and therefore we have a lot of apartments that are up for rent and being converted from student housing into just traditional housing. So, I mean, it's there's a lot of moving parts there, but you'll never hear me say anything negative about the university. The city of Carrollton wants the university to prosper and succeed.
You gave me two things to break off on that here. New York City, where they have that grandfather clause where they limit rent. And if your family has owned the apartments like 20 years ago, I mean they're paying this. Some people are paying the same rent they did.
Oh, is that rent control?
Rent control, yeah.
I've heard that term.
Could the city of Carrollton do anything similar? Because I mean, people are paying $2,000 right now for 2 bedrooms and a porta potty.
Could the city? That's never come up. It's a question I can certainly ask our city attorney.
We can ask. Would that be something that you'd ever be in favor of?
Rent control. I don't think I would ever be in favor of something like the government telling Colin Worthington, if he happens to own a piece of property, that you cannot rent it for more or less than what you want to. If you can find a buyer, not a buyer, but a renter for $2,000 a month, then that's the free market principles that, for better or for worse, I stand behind. So yeah, I don't think I would be a rent control proponent, but we'll talk about it. I'm open to ideas.
Time right now is 8:47. Jim Waters, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. You brought up the Division I opportunity for University of West Georgia, so that kicks in next summer, and university will start getting more exposure. I mean, they're going to be streaming with this conference on ESPN. I mean, ESPN will cover volleyball and football and all that stuff. So they'll be in town. They'll be showcasing our town a lot on national television. Is there any urgency to clean up maybe Maple Street before then?
I would say,
I feel bad saying that, but I mean, because hey, there's a lot.
Bob Uglin's getting beat up. There's Maple Street.
There's plenty. I mean, there's plenty of businesses that I cater to or go to on Maple Street.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's not the prettiest part of town.
Maple, and I grew up on that side of town in Ward 4, so I'm very familiar with Maple Street. Been down it thousands of times. And I'm not on the Maple Street Corridor Committee, so I'm speaking sort of as just a resident as opposed to a council member. But there's only so much I think you can do with Maple Street. I mean, unlike Bankhead, where we had 4 or 5 lanes and we shrunk them down to 3, you had lots of real estate on both sides of the road that you could plant trees and put in sidewalks. But Maple Street's already 3 lanes, 2 lanes and a turning lane in the middle. So I'm not sure what all we can do. Again, I'm not on the committee, so when you have the other Bob and Betty, who I believe are both on the committee, when they're on this show, please ask them that. But I do know it's going to be very expensive, and it does come down to, can we afford, how much of this kind of stuff can we afford, and how much grant money can we get?
Is that associated with the tax allocation district?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
That's in the TAD. Yes, sir.
All right. And something else I think is in the TAD is that property that the city purchased at the end of Alabama Street and Highway 27.
Yep,
that's in the TAD as well. Mm-hmm. On Monday, the initial discussion was on Monday you're going to put out, opportunities for businesses to buy that and give ideas of what they want to put there.
Is that Monday? I didn't know that.
I think it was this past Monday. They said so at the work session on Thursday, so I don't know if they did it or not, but they talked about doing that. Mm-hmm. What do you think should be there? I mean, are you going to have a say in that, or is that going to be more just of a David Brooks decision on what they approve to put there?
We'll definitely have a say in it. It'll certainly come through mayor and council for a vote. But at this point, And again, I wasn't at the meeting Thursday, so I don't know exactly what was sent out, but it is a request for proposals, and that means it's not necessarily a quotation, because we're not saying bid on these bid documents. We want to say, here's a blank slate, blank piece of paper, Mr. Developer, Miss Developer. What could you see going in this blank slate? And there may be, again, I haven't seen the document. There may be we may have some parameters about we would like to see another hotel, some sort of a mixed use apartment, residential, retail, something, maybe a park. I don't know what all we have, what kind of guidelines we have given. But me personally, I certainly, that is the reason we bought that property, and that was a little bit controversy. Some people would say, why is the city of Carrollton buying property that could have been bought by a racetrack to put a nice gas station?
And that is the reason, though, isn't it?
What's that?
That is the reason the city bought it.
Maybe so, because
it
is the gateway right into our city. It's 2 blocks from the square, and we want something nice there. It backs up to our Cultural Arts Center, so something that we can do there that maybe not physically ties to the art center, but maybe we're open to anything, but something that benefits the community, benefits downtown. We probably could use another hotel. The courtyard stays packed, from what I understand. So in a second hotel, not a conference or a convention center. We're not big enough for a convention center. We're not Savannah, but a smaller conference center, so we could host people or events that come through town. But anyway, I'm anxious to see what people propose.
Time right now is 8:51. Our guest this morning is Jim Waters. He's seeking re-election for Ward 3 in the city of Carrollton, and we'll come back with about 8 minutes. So I'll check one more time, see if you have any questions or comments for Jim on this morning's program. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
The Entrepreneur Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in business and leadership. Critical areas include identifying entrepreneurial characteristics, selecting a value position, and business model development. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
8:53. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program. Wrapping up our show with Jim Waters right now. Juan Carlos Ferrero checked in. He says, what does Mr. Waters think about the future of Adamson Square downtown, like the 5-year plan, walkable space? And he asked about that property between the Cultural Arts Center and 27. We did touch on that last segment.
What do I think about it?
Do we need more walkable space in downtown? And do you see any changes? I know a while back there was discussion about a possible roundabout.
Yeah, I don't think the roundabout's going to happen. We actually had a consulting group in that helped us with the downtown corridor, as well as overall our comprehensive plan out of the Carl Benson Institute of Government in Athens. Anyway, good folks, smart folks. They do this stuff for a living. And they said our downtown square is not big enough for a roundabout. It's physically not big enough. It was in
1919 with the
little horses and buggies. Yeah, but not anymore. So the roundabout, I believe, is out. The question now is how do we make downtown obviously more safer, slow cars. The whole idea is to make it more pedestrian friendly and still keep it car friendly, but less of a throughway and more of if you're going downtown, you're going downtown to shop, hopefully, as opposed just to cut through to 27. And we're not going to close any roads down. That's never a good idea. But maybe things that like narrowing the streets, putting some planters in. All this costs money, so we got to figure out how to pay for it. Put planters in, raised crosswalks like they have around University of West Georgia. Things that slow cars down, trucks down, and make people, the pedestrians, feel more comfortable walking. So that's going to be our emphasis on the square, is making it more pedestrian friendly without hurting the traffic.
Believing that you think less government's better.
I do.
Is that true? And fiscal conservative. Is it the city's responsibility to get involved in putting up these pickleball courts. So pickleball is the craze sort of these days, and I know you asked Stacy a similar question yesterday, and I do believe that pickleball courts, they're very similar to tennis courts. All cities have municipal tennis courts, for the most part. Certainly, if someone wanted to come in and build their own pickleball facility, I think we would certainly look at it and vote on whether we'd want to do that for profit type situation. But I maybe. But in addition to that, I think the city of Carrollton needs to build more for ourselves and be part of the rec department. Like, we've got 6 courts already over on Longview. There's been talk about putting more. And maybe
somewhere.
A fancier one in the next year or so.
Maybe so, but Longview, those good residents out there, they did not want it in their backyard. So we are looking, we never decided on that location, but that was one of the places we were talking about. But now we're looking at 3 or 4 other places, including Lake Shore. So yes, to answer your question, I think pickleball courts will be built, and it will be part of the rec department. So the city will pay for them. Actually, the taxpayer will pay for them.
Yeah, there's the quote. Take that quote out. The taxpayer will pay for them. All right, time right now is 8:56. Let me talk about your relationships, your personal relationships with maybe fellow city council people. And I did ask Stacy this yesterday, and the concept just came to me yesterday morning. And I think it's a situation where anybody working in any job may deal with a similar thing. I did a fictional Ward 13. Say there's a Ward 13 and there's a resident living there who wants to, is trying to reach out to their council person, can't get an answer that they want, so they reach out to other council people. Is it your responsibility to help them out? Is it your responsibility to say, hey, Ward 13 councilman, you're missing out here? Are you worried about showing them up by taking over something that they may have taken care of?
That there has been a little bit of that showing each other up in the past, and I won't name names, but that does not happen on this 5 group of people. We work really well together as a team. And yeah, if I get a call from someone in Ward 1, 2, whatever, I will take the call. I'll answer the question, but I'll say, but that is Jacqueline Bridges. I'll let her have the final say, but I will pass this on to her or Brett or whoever. So yes, we all work really well together.
We got 1 more minute, and shoot, I forgot the question. Yesterday Stacy Gibbs, your challenger, she did say something that, well, she's retired now, so she has more time to commit to this job, her perspective, and she would make that her priority. She said she even suggested going door to door whenever there's an issue, a big issue to be discussed ahead of time, because one of the complaints she was getting from people was that, I didn't know about this and I didn't know about that. What's your feelings on that?
Yeah, so this is a part-time job. I mean, it pays $600 a month. No one is going to do this full-time. And you can do a good job as a city council person without spending 40-hour weeks on it. So I appreciate Stacy's sentiment there, and I know she will work hard if she becomes the city council person. But it's not a full-time job, and the city staff really don't want 5 bosses that are full-time, feel like they're full-time employees. We just set the direction for the city, and the city, the people that get paid actually run the city. So that was the first part. Is it's not a full-time job. But what was your?
But ultimately, you probably believe that it's the citizens' responsibility to find out the information because it is available.
Yes, I'm not going to go. Haven't and will not go out. I might post something on Facebook occasionally. What do you think about this? Like the golf cart thing. But no, you elect us to make decisions that we believe are best for you. And if you don't like those decisions, kick us out.
All right, Jim Waters, I hear the music. You
okay.
don't, but I hear the music. Hey, thanks for coming out, and thank you for watching this morning's Community Voice program. News Talk 1330. Time right now is 9 o'clock.